Hey readers, welcome back to Reads with Room B with me, Room B. Today we are continuing with our secondary read, which is Gumshoes by Russell Multy. We are on Chapter 5. So, let's begin. Gumshoes Chapter 5, The Popular Table. Timothy pushed his crust-filled plate away and patted his distended stomach. That was spectacular. I don't think I could eat another morsel for at least 28 million milliseconds. What's that? 20 minutes? Stuart asked. Try 8 hours. By the time I wake up tomorrow morning, I'll be starving. Stuart had barely listened to Timothy's answer before he turned to his mother. Can we go up to my room? Okay, but don't keep Tim here too late, she said. It's a school night. Stuart grabbed Timothy and jetted halfway up the stairs before he called back over his shoulder, Thanks, Mom. Stuart's room made his side of the Gumshoes headquarters look pristine. Between the old food on his desk and the mold growing on heaps of discarded soda bottles, and the smell of death and decay filled every inch of the tiny bedroom. Outside of the bed in the corner, a desk against the opposite window, and some Dan Dash posters. Not very much else fit into Stuart's room. The piles of trash filled every nook and cranny. Even his mother refused to enter for fear of disease, or worse. Stuart sat down at the ancient computer with a big, bulky old monitor and blue racing stripes down the side. Timothy chortled as he looked over Stuart's shoulder. Every time I see your computer, I die a little inside. I get that a lot, but it's got some awesome racing stripes down the side that makes it supercharged. State your evidence. Fact, racing stripes make everything faster and cooler. Hey, do you still have that bug, that wasp thing online? You mean my moth? Yes, I store an online backup of it on an international server for emergencies. But I haven't had a chance to modify it since our last encounter. It's still giving me some issues. Why? We need to interrogate Mr. Reed tomorrow. Something's bugging me about him, said Stuart. I poked around the internets, but didn't find anything. I need to get into his personal record. Internets? Every time I think you couldn't go lower your intellect. You couldn't lower your intellect another iota. You outdo yourself. Don't you remember what happened last time? Stuart stared off into space for a good long moment before he spoke and shook his head violently. No. Sometimes I wish for your ability to repress memories. Timothy said, All right, Freud. Just show me the bug. It's only going to destroy my computer if it doesn't work. That would be an upgrade. Move over. I'll get him. Timothy scooted Stuart out of the chair, typing countless keystrokes in no time at all, and digging deep into a server. The moth popped up and flapped its wings, ready to do Timothy's bidding. He leaned into the monitor and whispered into the moth's antennae, You're going to be okay. Don't be scared. It will be okay. Are you really talking to a computer program? Stuart asked. You're a psychopath. It can't hear you. It doesn't have feelings. Timothy ignored him. I believe we are ready to proceed. With that, Timothy flicked the keys with veracity. Though I'm not what one would call a superstitious individual, you might want to cross your fingers. Timothy pulled up the school's administration page. The moth burrowed inside, and soon the login page melted into an access panel. Stuart shoved Timothy violently aside and began to maneuver around the site. The moth flew into the lower right corner of the screen and perched itself on the menu bar. All right, let's see what Mr. Reed's personal file has to say. Stuart clicked on Mr. Reed's permanent file and began to scan through it. Meanwhile, Timothy glanced down at the corner of the screen and noticed the moth flapped its wings more violently than before, bunking and turning a bright shade of red. Hurry up, said Timothy. Stuart tuned him out. carefully taking in every word of the document. As he scrolled through the file, he reached the subfolder labeled Confidential in huge, bright red letters. He double-clicked the file, but only initiated a dialog box, requiring another password. Timothy, I need your bug to work its magic again. I don't know about this, Stuart. It seems to be acting erratically. I believe we should close down this investigation until I can return the moth to peak efficiency. Dude, this is what I needed this stupid thing for in the first place. If you don't help me, it's all going to be for nothing. Your stupid fly will be useless. Timothy sighed loudly and leaned over the computer. Fine, but please be expedient about it. Another flurry of keystrokes, and the moth had accessed the subfolder. Its job complete, the moth refused to settle on the corner of the screen. It flew erratically around the screen and flapped its wings, as if trying to avoid a predator. Can you get your bug to quit flying around so much? Stuart said. It's bugging me. No, I can't. It's in pain. This had better be worth it for the strain we're putting him under. Now you've got to hurry up. I think I've got something. Mr. Reed was suspended last year. Braverton Middle placed him on administrative leave for 6 months after he hit a student with his car. There was a huge lawsuit. He was fired and went out of town. East Willow Middle didn't steal him away. He was given a fresh start. He hit a student with a car, and they continued to let him teach, said Timothy. The moth radiated white light and flapped at supersonic speed around the screen. The information on the screen blurred as the moth flew around in a frenzy. I think we should run, said Timothy. What's happening? Stuart asked. Spike, Timothy screamed. Timothy yanked Stuart into the corner and pulled his mattress on top of them. Electrical charges flew out of the monitor, and the CPU exploded in the hallway with the speed of a jet engine, smashing through Stuart's doors in the process and breaking his window. Stuart pushed the mattress off and surveyed the damage. What were that? It would appear there are more kinks to work out with the system. When overworked, our friend retaliates by emitting a high-voltage spike into the system. Perhaps I should rethink making it sentient. Gee, you think? Stuart turned and saw his mother standing at the door to his room. She surveyed the damage. I think it's time for your friend to go home, she said. You'll see him at school tomorrow. Stuart looked at her. I'm in trouble, aren't I? Oh, you better believe it, she said. The next day, Stuart stormed up to Timothy's locker and slammed it shut. Timothy whipped around and greeted him with a smile. Rough night? Are you kidding me? I spent 4 hours cleaning up the mess your mosquito made, and now I've got detention, and I'm grounded for the rest of eternity. I can't believe you can't get that thing under control. First of all, I told you it wasn't ready. And then I practically begged you not to use it, said Timothy. Secondly, your mother's punishments are a joke. I'm quite sure that you'll be able to continue as if nothing had happened. Yeah, well, you stink. You should destroy that stupid thing. Timothy gasped. Not Spike. He's my friend. Spike? You named it? And worst of all, you named it after the explosion that destroyed my wicked, awesome computer with a cool racing stripe? Stuart said. It seemed appropriate, said Timothy. You're an idiot. My IQ is significantly higher than anyone at this school. I promise you that. That's not what I meant. You're smart with book stuff, but you're still an idiot. Perhaps you are correct, because your logic has flown over my head completely. As they bickered, Stuart caught sight of Mr. Reed ducking into his classroom. Come on, said Stuart. We have work to do. Mr. Reed's English classroom was a shrine to the written word, specifically words written in a newspaper. Mr. Reed had chosen to hide the chipped stucco walls by covering them with thousands of newspapers. Barely a centimeter of the original wall remained. He also had placed huge tables against every wall, on which he displayed the posters and artwork of his students like a proud parent. For all outside accounts, Mr. Reed was a good, caring, funny man. He stayed late to help his students almost any day they needed tutoring. He was always available to reach the high shelves that the other teachers could not. Yes, by all accounts, he was a great guy, except for one little fact that he had ran over a student not a year prior. Stuart walked into Mr. Reed's classroom ahead of Timothy. "Hey, Mr. Reed, can I talk to you for a second?" Mr. Reed turned towards him with a jubilant smile across his face. "Of course, I'm always here to help out a couple of eager beavers. What can I do for you?" "Well, I saw you get out of your car this morning and I was wondering about it." "Really, are you thinking of getting a car? Aren't you a little young?" Mr. Reed asked. "No," said Stuart. "My mom's car was just totaled and she's looking for something new. Yours looks cool. I want to tell her about it." Mr. Reed picked up a large stack of papers out of his briefcase and distributed them onto all the desks. "Really, a 1974 Dodge Dart is cool. I think you kids are mistaken about what's hip. Plus, it's not much of a family car. Well, she really cares about reliability, and it looks like it's lasted forever. Unfortunately, you'd be wrong there as well. I've only had the car for about a year, and it's constantly in and out of the shop. I recommend your mother try something a little more practical. Now, if there's nothing else, the bell is about to ring." The bell is about to ring. As if on cue, the bell rang, and students started shuffling into their seats. Mr. Reed made his way to the front of the room. "I think it's time for you boys to head off to class." "Right," said Stuart. "Thank you for your time," but Timothy did not move. Instead, he could not help himself from asking the only question in his mind. "Just one more thing. Did you procure your automobile after you hit a student or before?" The room fell deathly quiet, and Mr. Reed fumbled to construct the sentence. Finally, he pulled himself together. "Follow me, gentlemen, into the hallway." Mr. Reed pushed them into the hallway before letting go of his vice-like grip on their forearms. "I don't know what you heard, but those nasty ideas are where rumors get started. By tomorrow, I'm going to be known around here as the guy who hits kids with his car when they don't finish their homework on time." "Wouldn't that be beneficial to you?" Timothy said. "It could help your students remain in line. Maybe for them, but not for their parents. One kid goes home and tells the parent, and I'm fired, out of a job, and that's on your head." "I'm very sorry for my friend's outburst," said Stuart. "We heard a rumor about your involvement in an accident with a student at Braverton Middle. Nothing was ever proven, and all parties are sworn to secrecy. So there's no way that anyone could have heard anything." Timothy smiled. "So you admit it, then, that you were involved in such a case?" The second bell rang. "You're going to be late. Watch yourselves, boys." Without another word, Mr. Reed spun on his heel and walked into his classroom. "This is why you're an idiot," Stuart said. "Now he's on to us." "Yes, but he rightfully admitted his involvement," said Timothy. "We didn't need him to admit anything. We have the case file. I just wanted to probe a little bit, maybe get an in, maybe have him drop his guard so that he reveals something that wasn't in the file. Now we're screwed. Oops. Come on, we have class. Let's hope that Madison doesn't kill us for interrogating her favorite teacher." Timothy and Stuart walked into the bustling lunchroom. Every faction was represented: losers, hippies, geeks, nerds, dweebs, bullies, outcasts, and the like. But in the middle, like a beacon of light in a dark forest, stood the popular kids' table. To be asked to sit there would change a kid's life forever. Anyone who sat with the popular kids would be, just a minute, dear readers. Would be treated differently. Not even Chet would dare mess with that. Typically, an invitation was next to impossible to obtain for anyone like Stuart or Timothy. "You ready for this, Tim?" said Stuart. "You mean the shame and ridicule that will surely occur when we're rejected from the utopia?" "Yes, I believe I am." "Then let's go." Stuart and Timothy each took a singular step, followed by another step. Each step echoed in their brains. They felt every pair of eyeballs on them as they trudged past the table playing magic and pushed past the table of outcasts hacking spitballs at one another. As they approached the popular table, their breaths became labored. Stuart turned and walked away. I can't do it. It's too much pressure. Timothy, however, in a show of unprecedented bravery, grabbed Stuart and spun him around. Oh no, you don't. We are in this idiotic plan together. Now, let's go and embarrass ourselves. As they passed the final gateway, standing between them and the popular table, everyone in the lunchroom stopped to stare. For once, the attention was focused not on humiliation, but on awe, on awed respect for their courage. They arrived at the foot of the popular table, and the entire cafeteria let out a collective gasp. No other student had ever dared venture that close without a formal invite. Stuart cleared his throat, and the busy chatter of conversation at the table suddenly died down. Is Madison here? He said. Everyone at the table stared in amazement at their stupidity before breaking out in a collective murmured chuckle. Finally, Brad, the star center fielder, his gold locks bouncing as he laughed, raised a hand to silence the table. She's getting her lunch. I think I speak for her when I say, go away. You're not welcome here. Stuart just about fell apart, but Timothy stood his ground. We were asked to meet her during lunch today. This is her table. Thus, logic states we should meet her here. Brad snorted dismissively. Excuse me, I don't speak nerd. I speak awesome. And that's not what's coming out of your mouth right now. Now, in 5 seconds, my lunch is going all over your face if you don't turn and walk away. Madison saw Timothy and Stuart and tucked their tails between their legs. She caught up with them before they left. What's going on here? Brad pointed to Stuart. These nerds said you wanted to see them. I was just putting them in their place. Brad, you suck, Madison said. I did ask them to meet me here because we're friends. Madison cleared her throat and yelled loudly enough for the whole cafeteria to hear her. You hear that? These are my friends, and if you screw with them, you screw with me. Got it? She glared back at Brad, whose eyes darted to the ground. Come on, guys, let's go eat somewhere else before I lose my appetite. Madison walked away. Timothy and Stuart followed in tow. Meanwhile, the entire cafeteria resumed normal chatter. And that is where we leave our heroes today. Like, subscribe, and please share the video. Stay safe, keep reading, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now, readers.